Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the January 26, 2020 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE. And today is a very special edition of my podcast because tonight's pay-per-view is one of the great pay-per-views of the whole WWE year, the Royal Rumble. And this will be the third year now in a row where we have both a men's and women's Royal Rumble match, which is great because as far as I'm concerned, the Royal Rumble match is the most exciting match of the entire WWE calendar year. I look forward to it the most every year. It's my personal favorite, and the fact that we get two on a given show is fantastic. So there's always lots of twists and turns in each of those matches, so it's going to be great. So tonight's pay-per-view, at least according to WWE.com today, has 8 matches listed on the card. I'm sure that not all 8 of these will make it onto the main card, but and as I've been doing I guess really all along, I'm not going to include any matches from the kickoff show that wind up appearing that wind up appearing in the kickoff show on the main. Then, that wind up appearing in the kickoff show. I can't think straight right now. Too excited, but I can't. I won't be including those in my overall prediction count for my pay-per-view matches. Anyway, so some of these predictions I'm about to give, there's a good chance that a couple of them may slide onto the kickoff show and therefore will not be included in my overall prediction count. Don't know why that was so difficult to spit out, but anyways, let's get to the first of the 8 matches on the card tonight. And before I do that, I should note that WWE always talks about the Royal Rumble event being the official start to the road to WrestleMania, and it very much is. And because not only do we find out in the winners of each Royal Rumble match, they get a guaranteed championship opportunity at WrestleMania, but I also feel that a number of these matches that are listed on the card tonight, some of these feuds and programs will get dragged out a little bit longer, and they'll probably last until WrestleMania. So you never know really what the WWE has in store, but certain ones you can, I think, already start seeing the writing on the wall, and some programs are just at the start of their storytelling, and some others are going to be wrapped up soon. So now, getting to the first match on the card here, it's Shorty G taking on a returning Sheamus. I gotta side with the returning Sheamus to defeat Shorty G here. Shorty G, Chad Gable, otherwise known as, is definitely a terrific in-ring wrestler. But I think it's always great when you have a returning competitor who's been away for quite some time to, give them a boost and by getting a good win. And I think Sheamus is probably going to use some cheap tactics to beat Shorty G. I could easily see Shorty G doing something and surprising Sheamus and defeating him, but the more likely situation, in my opinion, is that Sheamus will, since he's just returned recently, and they're going to probably give him a little bit of a boost going forward. I foresee Sheamus defeating Shorty G tonight. The second match is for the United States Championship belt, with champion Andrade taking on Humberto Carrillo. This is one feud that I could see being, they will tell this story a little bit longer, drag this feud out until possibly WrestleMania. If not, I think it will probably continue at least for another month. So with that said, I think Andrade is going to retain his belt over Humberto Carrillo and make Carrillo wait a bit longer before he can finally claim his United States Championship. So my pick in that match is Andrade to retain the United States belt over Humberto Carrillo. The third match of the night is a Falls Count Anywhere match between Roman Reigns and King Corbin. These two fought last month at TLC, and I incorrectly predicted Reigns to be the victor there. King Corbin had a little help from his friends in defeating Reigns, and so I don't normally. All year I've had trouble picking Roman Reigns matches. I get them. I've only gotten a few of them right, but both of these guys, I should note, are in the Royal Rumble match later on in the night. So this is probably, I would imagine, going to be the first match on the card because, I mean, if they're going to be competing later in a second match, it would be ridiculous to have this match be anywhere close to where the Rumble match will be. So I think a strong bet is that this will be the opening match of the night. And I know I could be wrong again, and King Corbin could pull out some of his people to help him here, but I just believe that this is going to be the culmination of their feud. It might last a little longer on TV programs in the next couple weeks, possibly into one more pay-per-view match, but my gut is telling me that no, this is the end of this feud, and I think we'll see them match up in the Royal Rumble match a little bit more too, but I'm going with Roman Reigns defeating King Corbin here in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Like I said, I think this feud will be done probably following tonight. So I'm going Roman Reigns being victorious over King Corbin here. Hopefully I'm right, since last month I was wrong and by choosing Roman Reigns to beat King Corbin. But here I got to go with Roman Reigns to be victorious at the culmination of this feud. And I will say this before I go into more detail, that I do believe that the WWE has bigger plans for Roman Reigns coming forward soon. So therefore, I think Roman Reigns is going to end this program on a high note with a victory. So Roman Reigns is my pick over King Corbin. The fourth match on the card is for the SmackDown Women's Championship, with the champion Bayley taking on Lacey Evans. Bayley, of course, has had help from her good buddy Sasha Banks. They've been using a lot of devious tactics to be victorious. I believe this is a feud that's going to carry on until probably WrestleMania. So therefore, I think that, I think the belt's not going to change hands yet. I think Bayley, with some help from her good buddy Sasha Banks, will retain over Lacey Evans. But I think this feud's going to continue on and possibly be a rematch at WrestleMania. With I don't know, I could see Lacey Evans winning the belt pretty soon. So I don't think it's going to happen tonight. I think Bayley's going to squeak out a victory with the help of her friend Sasha. But I think this is definitely a feud which we will see more of in the coming months. So my pick for that match to retain the SmackDown Women's belt is Bayley. And now moving on to the Raw Women's Championship match, we got Becky Lynch, who is the champion going into the match, taking on Asuka. Should be a great match. These two have battled before. In fact, they battled a year ago at Royal Rumble as well. And one thing I didn't like about that match, Asuka wound up beating Becky Lynch clean a year ago, and what wound up happening was Becky Lynch, even after losing, was able to enter the Royal Rumble match later on at the end of the Royal Rumble match and won the match, setting up her big title match at WrestleMania, the Triple Threat with Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair. But regardless, I didn't like that Asuka won and then beat Becky Lynch clean. No one made a fuss about it. And then soon after, Asuka had to drop the belt to Charlotte just to make way for this triple threat match at WrestleMania, with the first ever women's title match being the main event of the night. So they had both belts being represented. Charlotte Flair beat Asuka to have that belt going, and Ronda Rousey had the Raw Women's belt going. So either way, that one left a bad taste in my mouth for Asuka, because I think she's such a completely talented wrestler, one of the best for sure in the world. And even though part of me is rooting for Asuka, I think because Becky Lynch has gone on such a tear in 2019, I think that she's probably going to beat Asuka here cleanly, just to right the wrongs that what happened a year ago where Asuka beat Becky Lynch clean. So I hope that this is a feud we will see more of. my guess is it won't happen until following WrestleMania, because I think Becky will retain the belt tonight, and then she's going to have a new competitor heading into WrestleMania time. So either way, my prediction here is Becky Lynch retaining her Raw Women's Championship belt. Asuka at least is still the Women's Tag Team Champions, co-champions with Kairi Sane. So Asuka will still at least be a champion going forward. But I don't know. I don't think Asuka will get back into the main title picture for a little while yet. That's just a gut feeling of mine. I don't know for sure, of course. But regardless, Becky Lynch is my pick to retain the Raw Women's Championship. The sixth match of the night is for the Universal Championship, and it is a strap match with The Fiend Bray Wyatt, who's the champion, taking on Daniel Bryan. This is an example of another feud which I believe will carry on into WrestleMania time. In fact, well, I'll come back to it when I talk about my predictions for the winner of the Royal Rumble match, but for now, let's just say I think since The Fiend Bray Wyatt, since he's won the belt as the Fiend character, he's been so dominant and destructive, and I think it would be wise for the WWE to keep him as the champion heading into WrestleMania, where I imagine he will probably lose it at WrestleMania. But for now, he is probably the hottest heel character they've had in quite some time, and very creepy and scary. I think it'd be dumb and foolish to have him just lose to Daniel Bryan just like this right now. So I'm going with The Fiend Bray Wyatt to retain the Universal Championship in this strap match against Daniel Bryan, but I think Daniel Bryan will remain in this Universal Championship title picture, and there's a good chance rather that these two will face off again at WrestleMania, but possibly in a triple threat match with the person who I believe will win the Men's Royal Rumble match. So I'm going to get to that in a bit. But for tonight's prediction purposes, The Fiend Bray Wyatt is my pick to retain the Universal Championship over Daniel Bryan. So now, moving on to the two Royal Rumble matchups, starting with the women's match first. Someone who I think is going to get thrust back into the title picture again, who has been out of it for a little while, who should be, because she's great, a great in-ring technician, a great performer on the mic, a great heel character. She's awesome. She's got it all. I'm choosing Alexa Bliss to win the Women's Royal Rumble match tonight over a lot of other worthy competitors. Charlotte Flair's in there, among many other notable ones. I just don't think Charlotte Flair wins a lot of stuff, and she'll still wind up probably being in one of the women's title pictures come WrestleMania, but I hope that Charlotte Flair does not win a Royal Rumble match. So far, of the previous two women's Royal Rumble matches, the first winner was Asuka, the second one was Becky Lynch. So I hope Alexa Bliss gets a push tonight and wins, and will get a title match. So either way, Alexa Bliss is my pick to win the Royal Rumble match. 1 out of 30 is my odds for each of these matches, I should note. So I don't have very good odds in picking the winner, but I think I've been successful in doing that a couple times in the last few years. So hey, you never know. But I do think, even though there's a 1 in 30 chance, there are certainly competitors who are more favored over others. So it is a bit easier to figure out who are some of the likely victors versus some who have no chance whatsoever. But regardless, that said, Alexa Bliss is my pick to win the Women's Royal Rumble match for 2020. And now, lastly, the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble match. I think I mentioned earlier that we have the Falls Count Anywhere match between King Corbin and Roman Reigns. Both of these guys are, because of this match, they're both going to enter the Royal Rumble late, as far as I would imagine. That would make the most sense, since they'll be probably very tired after their Falls Count Anywhere match. So they're both coming in late. Who I think is going to win the match, the Men's Royal Rumble match tonight, I got to go with, for the second time winning it, I'm thinking Roman Reigns will be the Royal Rumble winner. He won 5 years ago in 2015. People were upset. They booed. They didn't like it. This year, though, I think that the WWE, especially after last year, Roman Reigns he was battling his leukemia battle and was able to make it back in time for WrestleMania, but they, understandably so, gave him a more of a medium-sized match. They didn't have him fight in a title picture, but to me, it makes perfect sense that they're going to get Roman Reigns back in one of the main events at WrestleMania. So Roman Reigns, to me, is the logical pick to win the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble match tonight. And I think, like I was mentioning before, I think he's going to be the one who's going to probably be in this take on The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and maybe Daniel Bryan if they're going to go triple threat. You never know. But what I do believe for sure is that Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns will be in the championship match together. And Roman Reigns, who, of course, the WWE for years and years has wanted to push as their next fan favorite, super popular guy, hero character, he's going to be the one to take out the very dark and evil Fiend Bray Wyatt. That's what I foresee happening. So many different scenarios are going to be discussed by the creative team at WWE, but what I will bank on is Roman Reigns getting back into a top title match at WrestleMania this year, and it makes good sense that he will go up against the Fiend Bray Wyatt, because we've already seen him fight Brock Lesnar too many times, and even though Brock Lesnar is another guy in this Royal Rumble match, even though he's the Universal Champion, which makes no real sense, but either way, I think Roman Reigns, he'll come in late and he'll win. And I'll even just make a random guess, and because I've noticed that there's been no number 26 winner for the Royal Rumble match for the men's history, I'm going to guess that Roman Reigns is going to enter the match at number 26 and will win the Royal Rumble match, and we'll probably choose Bray Wyatt to face off with at WrestleMania. But it would also be cool if Daniel Bryan got involved in that matchup too in a triple threat, since Daniel Bryan's such a top-notch wrestler and himself should really be in the title scene at WrestleMania time too. So anyways, folks, there you have it. Those are my predictions, my 8 picks for the matchups for tonight. Again, like I said before, I'm not going to include whichever matches of these wind up on the kickoff show towards my overall prediction count. And my prediction count is something I know that I need to update. I've been slacking a bit on that for the last few months, but my predictions are right there online, so I'm going to definitely get the updated tally heading into WrestleMania time for sure, to see how I've compared to my first 2 seasons with this podcast. So anyways, thanks very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel below. And let's enjoy Royal Rumble tonight. It's going to be great. It always is. So thanks again, and see you next time.